We have all seen the face of shopping change beyond recognition. So let's take it further now and have a walk through the vision for the store of the future and examine how cloud computing, edge devices, artificial intelligence, and IT can accelerate transformation in retail to deliver a seamless service. So please welcome now, I'm delighted to welcome Ian Massingham, Chief Evangelist at EMEA Amazon Web Service, and Toby Knight, Manager Solutions Architecture, also from Amazon Web Services. Thank you very much indeed.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. My name's Toby Knight. I'm a Solution Architect Manager at Amazon Web Services. So myself and Ian are going to be talking to you today about Store of the Future. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited. So thank you very much. Oh, we've got a clicker. Let's use the clicker. So what are we going to be talking about? So first we're going to introduce Amazon Web Services and talk a little bit about what we're doing in retail. As we're Amazon, we're customer obsessed, so we're going to talk a bit about some of our AWS retail customers. And then I'm going to hand over to Ian, who's going to tell you a little bit about our vision for Store of the Future, what we think the future for retail might hold. We'll talk through some of the concepts there. So what do we mean by frictionless? Where is that appropriate in the customer journey and the retail experience? We're going to cover some new types of user interfaces for retail and for bricks and mortar stores, digital stores. Touch on personalization, automation. And then we're going to give you some examples of how this vision for a future store, for a future retail experience can be realized using the AWS cloud and the services that AWS have built for our customers with input from our customers. So we'll talk a bit about the AWS platform, some of those services, and how we can make it real. So let's get started. So, as I said, my role, I'm a solution architect manager, so I run a team of technical consultants, and our focus is on UK retail. And I'm delighted to say we've got some wonderful customers that work with us at AWS, and some of them are mentioned here. So for example, many of you have heard of Ocado, so a leader in home grocery delivery. So Ocado Technology use AWS to build microservices, to build loosely coupled microservices that end up delivering functionality to their customers. So Shop Direct, another leading e-commerce retailer, use AWS, and they managed to scale for peaks like Black Friday on their e-commerce platform using AWS, using services like Elastic Cloud Compute. River Island there talked online about how they use AWS to innovate on the platform, and again, to scale for those seasonal peaks. And seasonal peaks is a theme that comes up and again in our conversations with customers. You'll recognize some other names there. If you're in a small retail business, you'll recognize names like iZettle, who've really started to innovate and provide an easy-to-use card payment system for small retailers and other businesses. And iZettle run a fully PCI compliant solution on the AWS platform. Many other names there we can look at, so Sport Pursuit, Made.com, and others. So one of the customers we're delighted to work with is Amazon.com, and they give us some very detailed and exacting feedback on our services, and it's a really useful relationship for us. And given that we're at a retail conference, of course, we're going to get questions about Amazon.com because they're an innovator and a leader in retail. Some of those innovations that we're familiar with, and we'll come back on some of these topics. Who's got an Amazon Echo in their house? So yeah, quite a few of us. Yeah, so you'd recognize that image there. So Amazon's been a bit of a leader in terms of bringing voice-enabled technology and a new interface to retail customers in your homes. In a recent visit to Seattle, I enjoyed a visit to the Amazon Go store, and when we talk about frictionless shopping, again, Amazon's provided us with an example of how that can be done. There are other examples, but Amazon Go is one that's been visible in the media. And as we said, Amazon.com is a very valuable customer for Amazon Web Services, for us at AWS. And here's an example of one of the ways in which Amazon.com uses AWS for their Amazon Herd system, which is a workflow management system they use to help scale for those seasonal peaks. And they use our DynamoDB service, which is a NoSQL database. And here, Mike Thomas, their software development manager, talks about the sorts of advantages that DynamoDB and using AWS has brought them. So AWS is a platform for builders. It's a platform for those that want to create new solutions, that want to innovate and drive down cost. And this story, I guess, illustrates how the Herd team at Amazon used Dynamo to replace, I think they replaced something like 150 Oracle databases with DynamoDB, and they found that the solution was more powerful, more performant, and easier to operate. So that's just one of the customer case studies that we've got on our website, if you want to go to our website and look at AWS for retail. So I said I'd be brief. At that point, I'm going to hand over to Ian, who's going to talk about Store of the Future. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Toby. Good afternoon. It's my first time at this event, so thanks very much to the organising team for inviting Toby and I to participate in the event this afternoon. There's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. The first is just to share some perspectives on what we consider, AWS consider, to be the most important attributes of the future retail environment that we want to see, want to assist our retail customers in creating for the customers that they serve. And then I'm going to take a tour through a few AWS services that can be applied in this context, describe a little bit more about what they are, and explain how some of our customers in retail and in other vertical markets are using these services to create brand new, distinctive customer experiences. And of course, we'll also talk about some of the business benefits that our customers are deriving from following that path. So, attributes for the store of the future. I've just heard Toby mention a little bit about Amazon Go, retail experience, which was in trial actually amongst Amazon employees for quite a while before it was announced that it would be open to the public earlier this year in downtown Seattle. This is a frictionless experience where customers can walk into the store, check in with a smartphone app, remove products, and then a few seconds after they've left the store, receive a charging notification that they're going to be billed for the products that they've removed from the store shelves. So it provides a frictionless retail experience for customers without checkouts, without lines, without cashiers. And this is I think, underappreciated component of what we know today as the experiential evolution of retail. We often think about experiential retail in the context of highly enriched in-store experiences, where customers are spoken to by highly trained store staff members, and they have a really distinctive in-person experience while they're in the retail environment. But of course, there's another side to that. There's an experiential retail component for the customer that simply wants the quickest and easiest mechanism to buy a product or to acquire a piece of merchandise. And that's where this particular service concept, I think, is going to be really, really important in the future. So there's two sides to experiential retail. Second area that I wanted to touch upon, which I think is important in the future, is the diminishing importance of the retail property. The creation of brand new customer interfaces, brand new customer experiences that allow customers to have new interaction models with retail brands. This might be shopping by voice using devices like the Amazon Echo and the Alexa voice service that powers it. It might be the use of VR and AR technology that allows me to purchase homewares or furniture in my home and see those products rendered into virtual space within my own living room or within my own child's bedroom, so I can see exactly how that new pair of single beds that my daughters are constantly nagging me about will look when I replace their bunk beds with it in that room that they share today. So I get a new way to interact with a retailer, which extends beyond the physical retail premises. It's something that I have a personal opportunity to interact with in a new way. But this also bridges back into what we know today as the digital experience via the web and via mobile apps. AWS customers like Metail here in the UK providing a mechanism for apparel retailers to allow their products to be represented on virtual models, and on virtual models that are personalized for the individual shopper. So I can upload my body measurements and I can see precisely how that particular item of clothing in that particular size would look if I was going to project it, wear it on my own actual frame. Someone with my actual body shape was to wear that product. So there are many categories of new customer interfaces that can be envisioned and delivered using this digital technology. I touched briefly there on personalization, and this is a really important area for not only retailers, but for any organization that wants to develop long-term and high-value relationships with their customers. When I come to talk about how this can be implemented using the AWS cloud a little bit later on, I'll talk in a lot more detail about business benefits from personalization, and also what some of the machine learning and data technology is that can enable customers of AWS to implement these kinds of systems at scale. There are unique challenges that are presented to large catalog retailers and large catalog service providers. In Amazon.com in the United States, we carry hundreds of millions of different items. Okay, we need to calculate personalization views for customers based on a purchased history that might span columns across a table with hundreds of million columns within it. So there are very challenging data and computational workloads that are required in order to deliver really high-value personalization. Of course, retailers and other customers actually have access to more data than ever before today, and we have access to unique context-sensitive data about customers. You can foresee a situation where I'm booking a skiing holiday or climbing trip, and a retailer in those categories is able to propose offers to me or advertise products to me in a way which is both context sensitive and category sensitive. I think this is a really powerful area, but it of course depends upon real-time decision making and on having the computing and data management capabilities to deliver that in a way which is seamless, timely, and of course secures and assures the privacy of customers as well. So high value, but some challenges that need to be overcome. And then lastly, there's what you might consider the back office, the operational technology systems that power retailers. This image is the inside of one of Ocado's giant fulfillment centers here in the UK with their unique in-house robotics platform, which is used to manage inventory, sort, pick and pack orders for their customers, then distributed to all of the customers that they serve across the UK today. It's class leading. We have similar technology within Amazon that we use within our own fulfillment centers, different but to drive similar outcomes for our customers, which are of course accuracy, speed and efficiency. But there's something unique about having the integrated operational platform within retail. I can deliver really innovative and advanced features for customers. And if you're an Ocado user, you'll have seen this already. You fill your basket, but the order's not closed. They will tell you exactly when that order window will shut. So you can order up to a minute before your order is picked and dispatched. And that pick and dispatch time is calculated based on where you are in the country, what inventory they have in stock, and what the delivery logistics chain will look like to get that product out to you. So you can give customers unparalleled insight into operations, which can deliver a much richer experience for them. At the other end of the chain, it might be your order is 8 stops away on our carrier. This is going to reduce the number of times that we have failed delivery attempts, and it's going to make for a much richer experience for the customer in fulfillment as well. So automation is not just about back office efficiency, it's about reaching through the operational chain from the customer interface right back to the operational delivery characteristics for a particular product or order. So how do you go about building these things? What kind of services are available for you to create similar capabilities within the organizations that you're trying to deliver innovation for? I'm going to talk about a few AWS-specific service offerings here that have relevance in this particular scope area. The first is Amazon Rekognition and Rekognition Video. This is a pre-trained, deep learning neural network capability that gives customers the ability to analyze images and video in near real time. We provide several different API actions, so I can submit an encoded image to an API endpoint and make one of several different requests. Can I detect any faces in this image? Can you give me some analytical data about the faces that you can see? Gender, age, sentiment. Is this person happy or sad? Is this person 28 or 58? I can extract this data directly from encoded data, directly from encoded image data, directly from encoded video data. In the case of video, I can also do things like track objects in motion. Okay, so I can see where in the store a certain individual has gone to, what their hold time might be in particular merchandising locations within the store. Did they remove a product? Did they walk away after spending a minute and a half looking at a particular placement within that retail environment? All of this can be done in near real time, and it can all be done reliably, accurately, and in a way which is highly secure. So I'm able to enrich the retail environment with real-time imaging data and create analytical decision-making opportunities and gain further insight into precisely what customers are doing in the built retail environment. Talking about the built retail environment, of course, we have IoT, the idea that we can extend sensor and computing infrastructure down into the physical world. This enables us to understand a whole lot more about the built environment. It also enables us to gather data from moving inventory, whether that be refrigerated stock, whether that be delivery trucks, whether that be handheld devices that our third-party or in-house delivery agents are using. And at AWS, we have a complete portfolio of services for building connected device applications. Again, scalability, security, and manageability are core attributes of this service, but it enables customers to build customized robotic systems and control them from the cloud. It enables customers to gather geospatial data about their delivery operations and operate and act upon it in real time. So AWS IoT is a really important capability in retail. Last year at AWS reInvent, which is our global user education conference, we announced a brand new service called Amazon Cimmerian. This is a complete development environment for AR and VR applications, so augmented reality and virtual reality applications. It allows me to create apps within a browser using an integrated development environment specifically designed for AR and VR applications, to create or import 3D models and assets, and then to sketch up, develop, design, and refine scenes, virtual reality, augmented reality scenes, that can then be rendered back on a broad variety of different technology devices, from head-mounted displays like the HTC Vive or Oculus Rift, through to smartphone technology using handset operating system development environments like Apple's ARKit on the iOS platform. It allows me to achieve that objective of popping virtual objects, virtual items into the real world and rendering precisely how they will look in the context of a particular customer's lounge or bedroom or garden, or maybe put a vehicle onto their driveway so they can see how that new car is going to look parked outside their home. And to do that in a real-time and highly quality-rich environment. It also enables me to drop something called Cimmerian hosts, which you can see represented on the slides here, into this built environment. And these are virtual characters. Okay, so I can communicate with them. I can communicate with them using voice, speaking to a team member for a customer who doesn't actually exist, okay, but can be imbued with the intelligence that's required to fulfill transactions, answer questions, give information, collect data, okay, and to do all of that in the AR or VR world that is created using this particular product. Okay, so that's Amazon Cimmerian. I mentioned that I would return to recommendations and personalization. This is an incredibly powerful area and one that is really popular. And I did mention that I would use a case study here, which was not a pure retail case study, but it's a very interesting AWS customer that I think a lot of us will, who here subscribes to Netflix? Okay. Who here has spent more time than they anticipated watching things on Netflix? Okay, and was that driven by recommendations by any chance? This is a very effective tool, okay? This is a classic large or wide category recommendations challenge, recommendations problem in computer science. Got a very big catalog of movies, but they also have a very effective mechanism for collecting preferences. What have you watched before? Okay, and then they can draw inference from that, to use the correct machine learning term, about what you might want to watch in the future based on your past viewing history. Okay. It uses a machine learning technique called factorization machines, where I'm going to have a large number of rows in a database, a table, a large number of columns. Each column represents a movie or a product, and each row represents a user. And by using this factorizations machine algorithm, I can figure out for any particular user, based on other users that are modeled within the table, what's the next most likely column for them to put a check in? What's the next most likely product for them to buy? What's the next most likely movie for them to watch? It's an incredibly popular feature with customers, with viewers of Netflix, and of course with customers of Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk. We use this a lot ourselves as well within the Amazon retail part of our business. Netflix have said that over 75% of all movie views on Netflix come directly from the recommended for you feature within their app, within their smart TV products, and within their browser-based viewing experience, their web-based viewing experience, which is a high bar, but it just proves how effective recommendations can be at delivering additional value to customers, either within a subscription-based service or within a retail-based offering. I'd really encourage you to think about whether you're doing this as effectively as you can be, and whether you have the right pipeline for building the right kind of intelligent recommendation system, something that we've created many services in order to help our customers do. Something called Amazon Kinesis. It's a real-time streaming data collection and ingest and service. I can record clickstream data to figure out what's the next most likely action a customer is going to take on a website. I can record viewing data, and of course I can record purchase data using that same tool as well. Then I can use another Amazon Web Services offering called Amazon SageMaker, which is a machine learning workbench and tool chain to build one of these factorization machine models using a prepackaged algorithm which is highly optimized, very, very scalable, and is capable of working with extremely large data sets. Okay, so if you want to know more about that, I would recommend that you talk to Toby or another one of our team members about how you can put AI and ML to work in the context of large-scale recommendations engines, a really important tool for the future retailer, and for the retailer right now, of course. And talking about tools that are going to be important in the future, I just want to leave you with one other area of innovation, which is a service called AWS Lambda. Uses a kind of weird term, which is serverless computing or serverless applications. This is a mechanism for building apps without actually having to permanently allocate or run computing resources. So I can build my application in a modern way using a collection of API endpoints that express features and functionality within the app. Then my users can use that application at any scale. Okay? I'll be tolerant of capacity spikes or of low periods of usage. My cost will be fully elastic, and the service platform will take care of heavy lifting like failure recovery, disaster tolerance, load balancing, security management, and authentication are all built-in aspects of this particular product. So for modern application development, this is something that we see gaining a lot of prominence amongst our customers, and something that I think all application builders should be cognizant of aware of for the future. Okay, so I hope that's whet your interest, maybe piqued your interest a little bit in learning more about AWS. We have a program coming up in a couple of weeks' time focused on providing more information about how retail and hospitality vertical customers can use our services. If you point your modern smartphone camera at this QR code, you'll drop into a registration link for that webinar. I'd really encourage you to do that. You can also find out a lot more about how retailers here in the UK and worldwide are putting Amazon Web Services to work if you check out our retail case studies section, which you can also find on our website. Thanks very much for having us today. Appreciate it.